Hey, Jason.
Hey GD, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. I'm trying something here. I think that we're able to double stream. Hey GD, how are
Hold
you?
on. Good. How are you?
Good, good. Just a minute, I
All
have to
right.
stop the echo. I'll try it later. I don't want to cause an issue with you.
What are you trying?
Uh, now that I'm streaming, it says stream this to your audience as well. My brother did it once when he was on my channel. He like pressed the button and yeah, it just double streams it kind of thing, so that you don't have to like record, or and post it on yours. You can just benefit. People can go on either side and stuff like that. I'm just gonna set it up. I want to try it out, but I'll let you like talk so there's no dead air time. Just kind of curious. I wanted to give it a go.
Oh, I have done that before. I can't remember the procedure.
Oh, I'm just gonna write veganism.
Yeah, I do have that option turned on, so
Cool.
you should be able to do it.
Diet with friends. Save changes. Okay. See if it works. Yep. Looks like it's working.
Oh, good.
Perfect.
All right. I'm trying to.
Wow. It's good to be on with you again.
It's been a long time, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've been streaming a lot less too, though. I had like a good couple of months. I had taken a bit of time off when my granddaughter came, and plus I had coupled it with a vacation, so I was like a little kid having fun, like just streaming like a madman. And now I'm like, okay, back to reality. So veganism kills more animals than any other diet. Were you able to see Jeffrey Phillips' channel when he had Nicholas on to debate me?
Yeah, didn't I come on that live stream at the end?
Yeah, of course you did. Yeah, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Where were you there at the start? Because 30 minutes was you, eh? The start, the whole 30 minutes at the start was you. It was just a Jeffrey kind of just playing it, and I was like, "What is this?" And it was weird too because I was asked, the day before to go on, and I got the impression that it was Jeffrey Phillips that wanted to just ask questions and stuff like that. So I was like, yeah, okay, sure. And then we decided the time, and then I think the guy's name is Nicholas George. So all of a sudden it's like Nicholas George. I'm like, well, who's Nicholas George? And I tried to get an answer like, okay, so is this a Christian? Because there are some Christians that are vegan, right? That think, Christians should be vegan. So I was like, does he know I'm a Christian that's an omnivore, and he's going to present me this Nicholas guy that is a Christian but is perhaps vegan and stuff like that. So I had no idea, and the wording that he put it was kind of weird. It said, "Is Christianity against veganism?" So it's like kind of like a weird wording and stuff like that. But when you come on, like for Christians and stuff, you're put on trial right away. You're already the underdog. You never put that person's worldview. You come in. So it was very simple. I was like, no, it just very specifically says not to be bickering and fighting about food and stuff like that. Is that food doesn't have anything to do with spirituality. It comes in, it goes out the other end. I showed like there was at least 5 passages. I do my PowerPoint presentation, and and everything, and at the end, no, the gentleman still believed that true Christianity, as well as Jesus himself, was vegan. So I had a little bit of a taste of the religious, spiritual delusions of vegans. So yeah, it was a pretty easy debate. Um, and the guy was pretty cool. He was pretty nice. He really didn't speak over me. He actually allowed me to speak quite a bit. So I kind of commended him on that, because it's hard, like when you have an opposing view, to literally sit there and allow the person. He gave me a good 5 minutes, so I was very impressed with that. But I know you have your thoughts on spirituality and food. Like you had it out with Patrick, remember?
Well, yeah, that was Patrick at the time. He's chilled out a lot since with me, but at the time he was being uh, passive aggressive by describing his decision not to eat meat as an attempt to be closer to God. And if I didn't want to do that, then that was my decision. That was my choice. But it's also his choice to be closer to God. And in other words, the way he worded it put him closer to God and put me further away from God based on him not eating meat. And I was the only one in the room that recognized that for what it was, because what I tried to do was bring up the fact. I tried to use the analogy of that movie They Live, the sunglasses,
Yep.
where the guy puts on the sunglasses and he can see the truth. And if vegans had sunglasses that where they could see the truth, in fact, I've got a video where I used that scene from the movie where the guy's looking at a plate of fruit, puts the sunglasses on, and it's a plate of dead mice. And that's, in a nutshell, the vegan diet. There's quadrillions more instances of animal death associated with the crop agriculture that produces the items on the vegan menu, and that's just a fact. Vegans do not study that, and that's really points to the cult flavor of veganism, where they refuse to look at certain facts, refuse to assimilate certain facts into their veganism, their vegan activism. You never see a vegan standing out front of an apple orchard demanding that these farmers don't spray these neonicotinoid pesticides that are driving all the pollinators extinct, killing upwards close to 1 million birds a year, or what is it, 667 million birds are harmed by these pesticides every year, and 67 million die. And that's considered a conservative estimate.
And we had spoken at one point. I'd popped up the how many generations of poisonings it occurs. Yeah, that first generation animal that eats the dose dies over days, if not more than 7 days. Slowly anticoagulating, hemorrhaging, bleeding to death, and stuff like that. Whether while it's being poisoned, it gets eaten by a bird or whatever, and it just keeps on going down the food chain. Yes, becoming somewhat more and more diluted, but I just remembered how shocking it was, the article that we had looked at together. I'm sure it was with you about the percentage of wild animals. They had checked coyotes, all sorts of different populations. They're all tainted with like hundreds of different forms of chemical pesticides or chemical, farming chemicals and stuff like that. Used in plant agriculture. So Um, Even Jeffrey Phillips, it's disingenuous when I bring up nutrition and physical degeneration. He doesn't like that. He doesn't like that. He always so you know that he's not seeking the truth. It's like I don't know what you think of his work, but I put a lot um, of importance, or I put a lot of value, to be honest, on nutrition and physical degeneration. I think that he might have had, I think he had an opposite bias. I think he was expecting the opposite. I think he was expecting more uh, uh, plants and stuff that would be part of it. And he never found any vegan society. He found some that were almost, completely carnivore, somewhat like Kenya, and they were all thriving. So all of Weston A. Price's research shows that they were not studying, trying to figure out what the hell is making us sick. He went and found people that weren't sick yet and said, what were they doing? And I think that it backs up all of these stupid epidemiological studies as well, because there's just as many epidemiological studies that can back up and point to what Weston A. Price was kind of seeing. But the problem is, it's just a dump of studies that can back up any damn thing that you want. So that's why the vegans, they love hanging on to these studies, but really it's worthless. It's just a circular spin.
Yes, it is. Everything about veganism, every claim that they make has got a circular spin to it. You get locked in the vortex, and there's no room for entire fields of science such as mammalogy, which proves that humans are not herbivores. There's no such thing as a vegan in the world of science. As a mammal, you're either going to be a monogastric animal with one stomach, or a foregut fermenter like a cow that's got three stomachs, or a hindgut fermenter like an ape, gorilla. It's got a cecum, produces cecotropes, which are poop that they eat. You don't see vegans eating their poop. At least I haven't. I've asked several of them to please post videos of this, because that would be their vegan source of B12. But
maybe they don't wash their hands, and it's a low dose after every meal. Just every
well,
bathroom, and don't wash your hands, and it's again enough.
they do argue that we're too hygienic. That the excess hygiene has led to it. There's no evidence of this, but they claim that all of the bacteria in the soils of the world have been destroyed, and there's no B12 in the natural world anymore. I guess people go out there and, like in Africa, chase down those wildebeests one at a time and give them a B12 shot. It's a hell of a deal, that this world that vegans paint, which is a total fiction.
Yeah.
Reminds me of the concentrated animal feedlots where the cows, they spend the last 3 months of their life actually in heaven. It's vegans paint this as a hell on earth for these cows, but cows are very gregarious. They want to be around each other. So corral them up in a big corral, and as long as they're next to another cow, they're happy. Now, feed them corn and corn byproducts for 3 months, and that's like feeding candy to babies. They love it. Mm-hmm. So the idea that these concentrated feedlots are torturous to the cattle is a complete lie. And before that, those cattle are out on pasture. And most pasture is not cultivated grass. It's just pasture, like native grassland prairie.
Yeah, we're big in Canada, like Alberta and stuff like that. There's just flatlands over there.
Yeah. And
that's
so
a lot of our beef is there.
without those ruminants out there grazing, then it actually harms the soil. They're one of the major natural ways that the Earth's ecosystem cycles carbon from the atmosphere back into the soil.
Mhm.
And, vegans, you can explain that to them, but they're not interested in ecology. They're not interested in looking at the toxic agrochemicals that are required for the
Mhm.
factory crop farming that provides all of the items on the vegan menu. The vegan diet is not a plant-based diet, it's a crop-based diet. And there is a difference because a grass-fed cow that's out on pasture eating natural mixes of different species of grasses and legumes, clovers, etc., that's a plant-based diet. A crop-based diet is one that those cows are eating when they go into the concentrated feedlots, and they're eating the crop residues from the ethanol industry or just crushed corn or any of the other distilled grains that they recycle into cattle,
Yeah.
which are inedible for human beings. And you couldn't get a vegan to sit down and eat this stuff.
Yeah.
And any effort to process it into something that could be palatable and edible for human beings would require enormous amounts of fossil fuels. It would emit all types of greenhouse gases that the vegans would not want to calculate into their algorithms. And also, it would be devoid or void of nutrients that they would have to manufacture synthetically, which again is a fossil fuel dependent process. They'll tell you that these vitamins are made in a lab, and they try to make it look like there's a bunch of heaven's angels that are waving wands over the open mouths of beakers to create these magic synthetic vitamins. But no, it's a bunch of coal, a bunch of natural gas, methane, oil that's responsible or that makes these synthetic supplements that vegans rely upon.
The stream, what we should do is have the whole list of all of these chemicals that are put in the minute that you take like the animal off the land, just one at a time, and like we can like try and do a deep dive, like go do the autopsy, kind of go, okay, okay, well, where did they get that, what did they need, and just really try and see it, because like we're you've preached the message a lot about this, but like have you done like every single one of these chemicals that they're using? Have you done like a deep 1 hour discussion into that? Is that something that would be worth doing, or you've already done it?
On which issue?
Yeah, like for example, the phosphogypsum stacks, right? That we want to talk about and stuff like that. So like we would do, okay, because we do not want to use the manure, or we don't want to incorporate regenerative ruminant farming, with the crops and stuff like that. They don't even want to use the manure and stuff like that. We want to get all of these, petroleum based products and stuff like that. So for example, gypsum, am I pronouncing it? Gypsum stacks, right? Phosphogypsum.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I've never heard of that. You had brought it up. Have you, let's say, go really deep into, like you wanted, the phosphogypsum stack, and do a live, so that it's not just like a 10-minute teaser, and then once that's been fully digested and stuff like that, we can go to the next one, or we could try and challenge them with one thing at a time. I don't know.
It would be nice if we could get a vegan to come on these lives with us and face these issues that are associated with the factory crop agriculture that produces the items on the vegan menu. Because their aversion to learning about this, to me, implies a lack of sincerity in their proclaimed love for the animals. Because if your love for the animals is sincere, then why are you looking away from the animals that die for a crop-based diet?
They just only care about the sensitive animal. They only care about the cuteness. They only don't care non-cute animals.
I have to disagree with that, Darth, because there are lots of cute wild animals. Raccoons are cute. All of the baby animals are cute. Baby deer are cute. Big deer are cute. It's not a cuteness. I mean, I spent a dash of time believing that too, but it doesn't really have any correlation with cuteness. It has to do with whether or not the animal is eaten. It's not whether or not the animal is cute or whether it was killed. It's whether or not it was eaten. Because they're not okay with you, Darth, going out and killing a deer and eating it, however cute that deer may be. But they are okay with killing that deer in defense of a stand of soybeans and leaving that deer to rot in the field. As long as the human being does not gain any benefit from an animal death, they're okay with the animal death.
It seems like it. Just only vegans just have problem with me just eating fat farm animals. They usually complain to me of eating that, and they always keep demanding me to eat a plant-based food just for the animals and for them.
Right. That's the responsibility of a vegan, is to be an activist and go out and try to recruit people like you and me.
For example, JD, when you went on the Crucible, okay, you
Yeah.
nailed it. Okay, so it personally, I don't care what the vegans think. You're there, okay, to present it. Okay, for example, when they're talking about suffering and stuff like that, and if we just stick to, well, if you're concerned, I know now they've changed the definition, but initially, let's say, the suffering of these animals, and you say to them, well, suffering, there's that equation. Suffering is the intensity multiplied by the duration, right? And if you just hold to the truth about the crop deaths and stuff like that, and just, it doesn't matter if they don't accept it, it's the other people that are listening that are going to repetitively hear the truth of the matter, that, well, you guys, first of all, if you're worried about how animals are living, we can easily fix that. We can take them out and put them where they're supposed to be. We can make their living conditions here on Earth even better than wild animals. And when it comes to that time for all animals and humans to die, it will be done swiftly. And there's nothing inhumane, because we all die. So, that's basically it. So, very short duration of suffering, and very poor, short duration and low intensity. And like that, these poisonings and going around shooting, the wild animals in the fields with bullets and stuff, and not even checking if they're dead yet, and this is long, dragged out suffering. And if you can, because they love these analogies, what if we were gray aliens on Mars and this happened, stuff like that. But you could really easily say is, and what, like we said, hey, if I want to survive primarily carnivore, and just seasonal vegetables and stuff and fruits that I can get here in Canada, I'm going to survive on my cow, my pig that I have in the freezer, and the 30 some chickens that I have. I'm quite satisfied eating that way. That gives 2 deaths for a whole family of 4, and that will be well over a year. And this creates the least amount of suffering, and it is actually part of the natural cycle and stuff like that. I don't care if they want to change it. Just repeat it. Keep on repeating it. That's how the vegans are brainwashing everybody, because now with YouTube, people are hearing the lie said in utter simplicity over and over again. So imagine when the truth said in utter simplicity over and over again. That's how you win. So I would never get discouraged at all. Just always, obviously you're aware of that, focus and say it's about the people that are listening. It's never about your opponent, in my opinion. So just keep on preaching the truth of the matter, and try and get on bigger YouTube channels to network, to get the message across. Try and get on the crucible more often.
I don't think that they want me on there again, because I think that I think Vegan Gains actually has a pretty good relationship with Andrew. And I completely destroyed Vegan Gains whenever he came on at the end of the debate, and he and I did a short little debate, and then I did some follow-up videos after that showed that he was lying throughout his spiel there. So never heard back from Andrew, and I actually told both of them, and they agreed that Vegan Gains and I would do a debate on the Crucible. But then I looked up, and Andrew was debating Vegan Gains on veganism on the Crucible. So, I have a weird feeling about something that went down after the last debate that I had there. So I want to show you this video here.
Yeah, sure.
This refers to what you were talking about earlier, the suffering issue, which vegans claim to be so concerned about.
So here's what we're seeing.
Hold on a second. Let me see if I can. All right.
So here's what we're seeing.
Can you hear that?
Rats get in here and they strip all the kernels out at night. So I'm losing all of my corn to the rats. And I had a decision. I was told by a native, you got to poison the rats. If you don't poison the rats, they're going to get your corn.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Garland Farms channel. Today, we're going to compare the animal suffering caused by a meat-based diet compared to the animal suffering caused by a vegan diet. You see, the vast majority of animal slaughter professionals take great care that animals killed for food suffer as little as possible. The process is very carefully designed to be over in a literal fraction of a second. And while vegans will reluctantly acknowledge unintentional crop deaths caused by harvesting, by far the greatest numbers of animals killed in plant agriculture comes from the intentional deaths caused by the crop protection industry. For example, the harmful anticoagulant rodenticides required to keep the vegan kill cult afloat take up to 3 weeks to slowly bleed each and every animal to death internally. If you do the math, that's a minimum of 1,814,400 more time units of intense suffering per animal that is required for plant agriculture and the vegan lifestyle. And that's not even including all of the animals that are killed due to secondary poisonings caused when wild predator species catch and eat the poor target animals who stagger around for weeks full of poisons, making them easy prey. Extrapolate that math out to include every animal that's killed every year by the multi-billion-dollar agricultural rodenticide industry, and the amount of animal suffering required for a vegan diet absolutely overshadows a meat diet so gargantuanly that it's downright embarrassing for the vegan kill cult. So much so that they will do endless mental gymnastics just to deny that the crop protection industry even exists. Please like and subscribe,
Okay.
and thanks for watching.
Yep.
Yeah.
I kind of
So,
look
yeah,
at it. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, JD.
so I mean, that's really just a very conservative estimate of what's going on with the suffering issue in regards to the animals that are being, harmed by the factory crop agriculture that produces the items on the vegan menu. It's what has happened is huge companies, huge corporations like Bayer, Monsanto, DuPont. I could list all of these types of corporations that these were the companies that were making all of the nerve agents back when the Nazis were gassing people. It was these companies that are responsible for
Yeah.
corporate veganism, because
Crazy.
this is where all the pesticides are. The pesticides are tweaked versions of what they used to kill human beings before, and so now they're still toxic to humans. They just spray them around us in much milder concentrations, and so what we end up is, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Bayer and Monsanto right now, but they're paying billions and billions in cancer damages. Are you familiar with that?
No,
Okay, let me pull it up.
they don't care. They know they're making so much. They're like, oh, okay, we'll pay it off. You just do the math. It's like, yeah, we'll still make profits even if we have to pay out that big thing. Hey, can I show the one, the video I had made with on a four-wheeler shooting the wild boars there, the wild pigs?
Yeah.
And the crops. It should be there in the studio. Yeah, there. Here, let's do it.
Hey, there's Jeffrey in the comments saying that wild boars aren't native, right?
They don't care. It's not their fault. If they were taken somewhere, kidnapped, pig trafficked in underground tunnels and appeared there, and now we're killing them, it's not the pig's fault.
Look, the pigs at the farm that are raised for slaughter, they're not native either. But Jeffrey cares about those pigs. But these other pigs that aren't native, he doesn't care about those pigs. So again, this is another example of how the vegans pick and choose which animals they care about. None of them are native, but which ones do you, again, it's the ones that people eat. He doesn't care if animals are killed. He cares if people eat those animals after they're killed. That's what's important to a vegan. right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been over this thousands of times with thousands of vegans, and they're always talking about the animals that are killed to be eaten. But when you show them the animals that are killed for a crop-based diet, they don't care. And they'll do things like what Jeffrey's doing here, where he's, well, but the wild boars aren't native. That makes it okay.
But
Or
this is perfect though. That's what I'm saying. It's like every time you repeat it and they do this, there's tons of normal people that are rational and of sound mind going, oh man, yeah, so it's a win-win. It's draining being, in the front lines on, producing content and stuff like that, especially when it's content that's trying to call out another one. It's exhausting to, to be honest, and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. You guys are morons. I like it. Anyways, I've been pretty polite to Jeffrey, and I like how people just can turn around and just call you a moron just like that. It's weird. Vegans don't care about invasive species. Yeah, so we just need to build a community of people that are willing to do exactly like the vegan community. It's kind of weird. Like, I didn't realize like veganism is actually really small. Like YouTube, because of YouTube, it's really the vegans that are on YouTube, which are not like million. They're really the ones that are deciding veganism. Like it's like a religion, and whatever happens on YouTube in relation to veganism, it seems like this is where all of the things are happening. Like, can you explain again? Because I don't know too clearly, and my viewers don't know how they changed. First of all, the definition of veganism, kind of like it was this, then they changed to that. And when you started calling out crop deaths, do you think that the change in definition occurred literally because of the influence here on YouTube, or do you think that it has nothing? Basically, I'm kind of hinting like, is this because of you that there's a recent change in definition to veganism?
yes,
I think
yes, it
so.
is.
I really think so. They're going to laugh. They're like, oh yeah, it's like, no, to be honest, because Jeffrey, when he was being coached by all of these like, higher up vegans from all around the world, and just coaching and talking, and they literally, like, that's why it is exhausting sounding the alarm, but you really it shows that you made a change. If they literally had to start talking about, what is it, right violations, can you just re-explain it, because it doesn't even make sense to me how we're talking about animal rights and giving them human rights. What exactly is this insanity?
They have this concept of negative rights violations versus positive rights violations.
Okay.
And the negative, as I understand it, a negative rights violation would be like, you've got all these animals out there in nature, and there's a forest there and a bunch of meadows, a lake. There's this whole ecosystem going on, and these animals are living their lives. And then big factory crop agriculture comes in there and cuts down all the trees, plows up all the ground, kills all of the animals that were there, displaces the ones that don't die, poisons and shoots the ones that return. That would be a negative rights violation. However, they don't consider that negative rights violation. Instead, what they do is they pretend that the world began when the crops appeared in the field. And when the animals come back to their territory and they try to eat those crops and the crop farmers kill them, then what the vegans are claiming now is that's not a negative rights violation on the animal to kill them. It's a negative rights violation on the farmer because the animals are trespassing on the farmer's property, damaging his property. And so the first most egregious negative rights violation, vegans ignore that. But yes, they're using this negative rights violation just because vegans are so used to not having any type of critical thinking audience. The audience is not thinking critical because the audience, even if they're not vegan, they have been conditioned for decades and decades by Edward Bernays and the school of thought. And if you don't know who Edward Bernays is, look him up, learn everything that you can about that man. He was more influential over all of us than our own parents were. That's where a lot of our conditioning comes from. Is it started with Edward Bernays, big time, and now all of the marketing is Bernaysian. You know, they don't want you making purchasing decisions based on any type of critical thinking skill or facts or knowledge or evidence. What they want you to do is make all of your purchasing and consumer habits and actions should be based on emotion.
Yeah.
And that's why veganism is constantly forcing people to watch animal torture porn that has been supplied by nefarious organizations like PETA, which have been caught staging animal torture porn to be filmed in order to turn people vegan. So the rest of corporate veganism, like I said, you get into Bayer, Monsanto, DuPont, Kraft, all of the junk food, ultra processed food industry. That's the push. That's the money behind the big veganism movement right now. And the pesticide industry. The pesticide industry is very, really rubbing their hands at the prospect of a vegan mandate because they're going to, the pesticide industry. These pesticides are made from petroleum, so the pesticide industry is essentially a derivative of the petroleum industry, and so they're not. They talk about turning off the oil spigots and starving us of fossil fuels for our lifestyle, the WEF and their 2030 vision and all of that. But they never do talk about the fact that their vegan world is going to require gargantuan amounts of petroleum. Maybe that's why they want to take the petroleum. They want that petroleum in order to fuel a vegan world, because there would be no vegan world unless you've got fossil fuels. Without fossil fuels, veganism will fall flat on its face. And there'll be a massive famine, massive global famine if there was a global vegan mandate.
There's nutrients, essential nutrients that just do not exist or are in a form that is unabsorbable or unavailable, unusable to the human body. So humans didn't need observational sciences, nutritional sciences to teach us what we're supposed to eat. Humans weren't confused, okay? And we just, ate an omnivorous diet, and we supplemented, take advantage of the calories that we can get from carbohydrates, and we prized the animal food, and we, ate organ meats, which all our grandparents had no issues with organ meat. So it's a big change. Like even me and we've spoken about liver and stuff like that, but there's just the sad reality is that there are nutrients that don't exist, and that long term we would become deficient. But because we have the ability to supplement and fortify foods, okay, so that on paper we can look at the side of the box and it has it there, here, all of a sudden, this is the way to go, and stuff like that. It's moving completely in an unnatural fashion. It's just it's a dangerous lie. It's a dangerous deception and stuff like that. I have two people doing keto, which is really weird because they didn't even it wasn't even me. I haven't really been speaking keto at work, and they decided, and they're both losing weight, and they're doing good. And one of them said, he goes, yeah, it works well, but you can't do it for too long because of the animal fat, So I was like, okay, like this guy gradually, he still thinks cholesterol, he still thinks the animal fat is still the issue. He knows there's something about keto that it seems to be, successful losing weight. He's losing, but he still is under the assumption that carbs, are not really an issue. Don't eat too many carbs, kind of thing. But there's the BCO1 gene. That's the gene that if it's mutated, you can't turn beta carotene into active vitamin A retinol form. So, how many people have BCO1 gene mutations? And really, is it a problem? No, because the majority of people are eating retinol in all the various forms of animal food and stuff like that. So without even realizing, animal food, is going to supply you with that. But if you want to live in this new compassionate, green, vegan utopia, we're going to have to test massively for BCO1 gene mutations. And those people will have to find some way. So what are you going to have to prescribe now retinol to the population that have BCO1 gene mutations for beta carotene? It'll be like, oh, well, you need. So then Pfizer will be making retinol for the BCO. It's stupid. And then we can go the omega-3, the ALA, like you can dish out all the other the minerals that are unabsorbable. It's impossible. It's only in a decadent, stupid, dumbed down society where I can get everything that I want, like within 3 minutes of my house, and supplements and stuff like that. It's unrealistic. It's impossible. That's all right.
Well, we know from science that, the evidence that we've got on prehistoric man was that they were healthier they had larger brains, they had stronger muscles, stronger bones, less disease. They didn't have cavities. They didn't have high rates of infection. They didn't have any evidence of heart disease, any evidence of diabetes. In fact, a medical anthropologist will tell you that whenever he is assigned some human bones to identify, his job isn't just to identify the individual, but to identify what era these bones came from. They could have easily been from thousands of years ago rather than last week or 10 years ago, So what he'll look for is signs of cavities in the teeth, signs of infection on the bone. And those are the top two things that they'll look for. And if they find either one of those, then they'll know immediately that this is a post-agricultural individual, and they'll be able to categorize the age of the bones almost with 100% accuracy across the board without any type of other dating, just by looking at the condition of the bones and the teeth. Pre-agriculture, we were eating a hunter-gatherer diet. There is no evidence that there were any vegan tribes in the hunter-gatherer societies, and there's no evidence of a 100% animal-based diet either. The evidence of these ultra-healthy, ultra-big-brained humans, the evidence shows that they were eating somewhere between a 55% animal-based diet and a 75% animal-based diet. There's never been a successful lifetime or a successful society that was all meat or all plants. We're omnivores. Our digestive tract shows that to be a fact. The problem with the carnivore diet, as I've said before, is and I've explained one of them, but it's really twofold. One is the fact that if you're eating a lot of meat, then you cannot use most of that meat every day as protein. If you could, then you'd be able to get, cut your hair off completely to a burr on one day, and the next day grow it out, like 6 inches touching your shoulders, because you'd be pumping out, protein manufacturing that fast. And your fingernails would have to be, you'd have to get a manicure every day. Your toenails would be sticking out the end of your boot, and your muscles would be so big that you'd look like an Angus bull. The fact is that we can't use protein in that large and I raise beef and I raise goats. So, I don't have any type of connection to the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. I want people they should incorporate ruminants, including beef, into a healthy meat-based diet. But if they're like Sean Baker sitting down for breakfast, eating a 128 gram steak, looks more like a roast or something. First of all, breakfast is not a natural meal for human beings.
It's a breakfast.
That's why people do so well on the 1 meal per day program, the OMAD program. Mm-hmm. So sitting down to a big steak in the morning is absolutely not recommended. And most of that steak, like I said, cannot be used as protein. Some of it will be, most of it can't. And so it'll be turned into glucose. That's a very expensive source of glucose.
Can you share the screen? I just popped up the protein synthesis. I don't know if that's accurate. I mean, obviously, a bigger guy is different, but so what you're basically saying is, okay, so protein is very expensive, obviously, and stuff like that. Your body can only do a certain amount of protein synthesis using that. Any additional protein is converted through gluconeogenesis into sugar to be used as fuel. So you should strategically use the animal protein to basically just have enough to rebuild. So in your opinion, like this, what is it? It's 1 gram per pound to 1.5 grams per pound. You see that often, right? So that's crazy high, in your opinion, or?
Yeah. Who's recommending that?
A lot, like typical weight training and stuff like that. But I guess if you punch up like recommended protein, I think like just anybody now, I think they're recommending like 1 pound, 1 gram per pound, which ends up being 100 grams. I guess you're probably use kilograms, right?
Yeah, I think the point of all this is the fact that it is possible to eat too much meat. Mm. Okay, so you can overshoot your protein needs very quickly, and then anything that you eat in excess of that, and it's hard. There is no algorithm that's going to fit each and every one of us. Each and every one of us has a. First of all, let me say this: is that there is something called human physiology. Okay, there's textbooks on it. We know how the human body works. This bullshit about everyone being different is true to a certain point, and then it's not, because we all have a human physiology.
Yes, but what is a woman?
Yeah, what is a human?
What is a woman? We can't tackle this veganism issue until we just, we got to figure out what a woman is again.
Oh, I think we've got a troll. We've got a troll in the backstage here. This is the guy that pretends to be Joey Carbstrong.
Oh, okay. I know. I actually need to look at the private. So
hi guys, how are you?
Hey Joey, what's up?
I like to invite you for a live debate on my channel, because I've been to slaughterhouses and I've seen what they've done to the pigs, and it's horrible. I've seen it with my own eyes. You say that I'm intense. You say, look at my eyes. Well, guess what? I've been to slaughterhouses more than you'll ever know. I think you just need to stop abusing animals. What do you have to say about that?
I think you should stop abusing animals because of all of the crops that you're eating require all types of lethal crop protection measures.
Listen, mate, listen, I don't abuse animals. I eat plants. I look after, I have some compassion. Unlike you, you're a murderer. I've seen, how can you willingly pay when you know what happens in these slaughterhouses to these animals? They have rights.
Yeah,
You say that I've got, who was it that was on here last time that said I've got an intense look in my eye? Well, it's because I've seen slaughterhouses. I have feelings for the animals. That's why I visit them before they get slaughtered. You can never do that.
To prison. You're a hardened prison.
Oh yeah, many years ago. We all make mistakes, mate. We all make mistakes.
I'm not judging. I'm just saying
I had to defend myself.
Your psycho stare is because you're hardened. That's all.
No, I had to defend myself. If somebody's coming after your family, surely if you had a knife with you, you'd stab them in the leg as well, mate. That's where I come from. I don't just lay down and just, get picked on and beat up like you guys do. I look after the innocent, the vulnerable, like the animals. Garland, you're welcome to come onto my channel one day for a live debate.
Okay.
Because I'm sick of you making videos about me and about people like me, like Earthling Ed, like Hench Herbivore. What gives you the right to say who's good and who's bad?
I have my opinion just like you do.
Yeah, I think you need to stop eating animals. That's what I think, mate. How would you like it if you was? How would you like it if you was in a slaughterhouse?
How would I like it?
Yeah,
pretty close. I'd be pretty close to some really fresh meat.
no, you wouldn't. You can never put yourself in their shoes, mate. I think you need to give the animals an apology. Yes, I'm fired up. Yes, I'm inspired because I've seen what happens to these poor animals. I look into their eyes. I look into their eyes before they get killed, and it's not right. I see a being inside there, mate. And yeah, I'm talking over you. I'm interrupting. I'm interrupting right now because I'm passionate and I'm sick of people that eat meat, like you, Garland fan. What gives you the right to consume all the animal protein that you do? Go on, give me one valid excuse. Okay, I'm not letting you talk. I'm not letting you talk, mate.
I don't have to give you an excuse.
Oh, yes, you do, mate.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do, because it's not right for we can thrive on plants.
We can't thrive on plants.
Yes, we can, mate. Look at me. Look at Herbivore. Look at Earthling and Ed. We're all doing better than you. We all look healthier than you.
No, you don't. None of you look healthy.
Well, according to you. Look at you, mate. I mean, no offense. I mean, I'm going bold, but you're bold and you've got like grey beard going on. No offense to Jason, but it's skinny. I don't think you look good. And yeah, I'm getting passionate. I'm getting rolled up. I might even be over talking a few people. I don't really care, mate, because I'm doing it for the animals. They want me to do this. I work for the animals.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that you've got this alter ego that you're actually pretending to be Joey Carbstrong with a
I'm
little
not pretending. I'm not pretending to be anyone. I know who I am, and I know that I'm a good person. Yes, I've done time in prison. Yes, I was in a gang, but guess what? I put that behind me. I've redeemed myself for the animals. I show more compassion for the animals than you do a fellow human being, Garland.
What have you done for the crop deaths?
I'm not getting into that, mate. I've got better things to do. But at the end of the day, I care more about the pigs than you do for a human being.
Exposed. He just exposed himself.
Yeah. Okay.
I want to talk about crop deaths.
Yes.
Again, this is a perfect example of it's not whether or not the animals are killed; it's whether or not they're eaten. That's what veganism is. It doesn't matter if you kill animals; it matters if you eat them.
Listen, mate. At the end of the day, I've said some horrible things in the past, mate, about Holocaust, about Nazi. I don't see any difference between a pig and a human being, and what them animals go through is no different. Okay, and one day we're going to look back on history and we're going to realize what we've done.
How about the pigs that are killed from crop protection measures?
I'm not talking about that, mate. Let me finish for once.
No,
what happened?
I'm gonna let you go if you don't answer my questions.
Okay, sure, go ahead. But I'm not going to answer every single one. I'm not going to be told what to do. Okay, I'm not that person anymore. I was in a gang before, and I obeyed, certain people, but I won't be obeying you, Garland, especially somebody that hurts animals willingly.
Explain why you don't care about the animals that are killed to protect the crops that you eat.
Because, obviously they're smaller animals at the end of the day. I care more about, I care about all animals. I care about all people. I consider myself an enlightened being, but I care more about pigs than I do about small insects. At the end of the day,
You don't think
Does
that
he
pigs
even
are?
cares about mice? Does
You
he
don't
even
think you don't think that pigs are killed in the protection of crops?
no, I don't think so. Absolutely don't. Nah, you ain't gonna get me with that one, mate. No.
You
Like I said,
don't.
Go ahead.
You don't think that pigs are killed in the production of crops? Really?
They're not killed. No. I know that I'm going to look back if there's a God or a heaven, whatever there is going to ask me, what did you contribute to society? I'm going to say I saved the animals. And you're going to have to say you killed them. And that's a shame. So, you might say I'm filled with guilt and shame over my past, but Garland, I'd hate to be you, all the pigs and all the cows and all these animals that you're eating. What are you going to say to him, mate, when you arrive at those pearly gates, as they say, if it's true? Because at the end of the day, I've redeemed myself. It's over now. Because I care about so many animals. But I don't know what you're gonna do, Gunland Farms. And I don't want to get into the whole God business because I know that Jason's a religious man, or I believe he is, and it's kind of ridiculous. He pretends to care about Jesus Christ and all this, yet he eats meat, and that's a contradiction, Jason. I don't want to get to a fight, mate. I'm not that sort of person anymore, but that's a contradiction, mate. I can't hear you, Jason. I'm getting fired up here, mate. I really am. I've got better things to do. I've got protests to go to. I've got to, save the animals and save the world. But this is video to do in my head and all about me. Garland, what can you explain that, mate? I think I'm scared of you. I used to be in a gang.
I'm getting hungry for this.
Here, I'm going to show you something.
Garland, you got something to say, mate?
Yeah, I'm going to show you something. What do you see there on the screen? How farmers and hunters deal with millions of wild boars attacking cornfields.
All right, so you're going to find an old video, which is probably fake. They're trying to, justify yourself. Is that right, Garland? Yeah. Good, I could do that as well, mate.
Central Texas crop protection, thermal hog hunting. Didn't you claim earlier that that farmers don't kill pigs?
I said a lot
crop farmers.
At the end of the day, mate, I said a lot of things that but you're not gonna, I can do a quick Google search, mate, and I can prove myself right and you wrong any day of the week. But I'm not going to go into that. At the end of the day, I mean,
you don't want to look. You don't care about the animals that die for the crop-based diet. We got it.
No,
I actually opened with that point. You just proved it. Vegans do not care about animals. They only care about the animals that are scheduled to be eaten. Killing an animal in defense of crops, they like that. Like they get their jollies from knowing that exponentially more animals are killed in order to protect the crops that provide the items on the vegan menu. They know this because they're misanthropes, or they ignore this because the ultimate goal of veganism is not to protect animals, it's to harm human beings.
Yeah, well, guess what, mate? At the end of the day, you're not going to solve all the suffering that goes on in this world. You're not going to be able to save I'm doing a lot better than you guys are, obviously, but you're not going to be able to save the entire planet. Okay, there's going to be a few insects that might die along the way. Big deal. I care more about the bigger animals, and I care more about the human.
So
you care more about the bigger animals because
size matters.
Yeah.
No, I care about
size matters. Yeah, right.
At the end of the day, none of you guys have been to a slaughterhouse. I've been to many. You see my videos. I go to the slaughterhouses. I see what happens. I look at the pigs in the eyes before they got slaughtered. I've been to all these protests. I've done so much for the animals. If the animals could thank me, they would. What would they say to you, Garland Farm? Go on, I'm talking over you because I want an answer. Go on, keep pussyfooting around it. I want a real answer from you. Okay, I'm fired up. I'm intense. Yeah, big deal. But go on, explain. How can you justify what you've been doing to these animals?
How can you justify a crop-based diet when you know that the crops are driving entire species into extinction?
I'm not going to get into that. Okay, Okay, get me. What was that question again?
How can you ignore all of the animals that die as a result of the lethal crop protection measures that are employed by the factory crop production that's responsible for producing the items on the vegan menu?
Well, I can't answer that, mate, because at the end of the day, there's always going to be suffering in this world. But I think it's important to minimize it as much as you can.
Yeah,
so if suffering is intensity multiplied by duration, and your animals that are being poisoned and shot in the wild to protect the crops, like we said, it can be very long, it can be days, and it can be, you know, maybe slow pain, but it can ramp up. So there's a lot of uncomfortable suffering with that. It's better to, I agree with you. If you're alive here on earth, you're going to die somehow. So we should be good shepherds, and we should pamper those animals and, you know, protect them, give them the best life possible. Yeah. It's a win-win situation. And then you do that split second slice, you know, boom, they lose consciousness. I've had metal cut my arm. I didn't even realize it when it's sharp. So it's all about, yes, we live in a fallen world. Yes, there's suffering. Yes, we should minimize it. And by minimizing it is, first of all, eating nutritious food that helps minimize human suffering. And, and then being shepherds to the wild animals. And not only that, but those wild animals, we are mimicking more the ecological cycle, and that's not that much of a difficult overhaul of changing the whole farming to incorporate regenerative farming.
Jason, so, I agree what you're saying. I agree what you're saying, mate. I've got a question for you if you don't mind. It's a bit of a, I don't know if I should ask you or not. I'm sure you don't mind, right?
No, I don't mind.
You say you're a religious man. How are you going to defend yourself when it comes down to it? What are you going to say when you're asked? How can you justify what you've done to those poor animals, those poor beings? If you're a man of God, and I believe that you actually mean that, how can you justify that, Jason?
The question is moot. The question is moot. The question is moot. The question is moot. No, do not answer that question. I've already answered that.
God, I know you didn't, my friend.
Yes, I know
you didn't. How are you going to justify?
I told you that I would answer that question when you explained to me why you don't care about the animals that die for the crop-based diet.
I do care. I do care.
If you don't want to answer that question, if you don't care about those animals,
I'm not afraid of any questions.
There are more animals that die because of crop production than in the entire animal agriculture industry. Period.
Well, go on. I'll answer any question. I'm not afraid of questions. I used to be in a gang. I'm used to this. This is nothing to me.
You're still in a gang.
How am I still in a gang, mate? I care. Go on and explain how I'm still in a gang. How?
Veganism is a gang. It's a gang. It's a cult.
No, it's not. It's not a gang. It's not a cult. We're better than.
It's a gang.
We're doing better than you. Okay, and we'll continue to thrive, and we will win this war. We will save the animals. We're going to say there's nothing that you can do, Garland or Jason.
You're working on behalf of DuPont. You're working on behalf of Bayer, Pfizer, Kraft, General Mills, Monsanto.
No, not at all. Not at all, mate. You'll never win. You'll never win.
You're for the petroleum industry. You're working for the petroleum industry.
You haven't spent a night at the slaughterhouse. You haven't done any. You have. I've been doing this for about 10 years, more than 10 years. I know exactly.
Sure. Would you marry a pig? Life. Would you marry a pig, Joey?
Obviously, I'm not going to marry. I'm not going to marry. Obviously, I'm not going to marry a pig, but I care more. I certainly care more about because
you're spending the night. You're spending the night at slaughterhouses. I'm wondering how far you're carrying your take.
Look, at the end of the day, I care more about the pig than I do you, Garland, because the way you treat them isn't right, and it's not. We're not putting up with it anymore. You're not gonna win over any vegans. We're not going back to eating. We're not going to eat meat, mate. It's a healthier lifestyle. It's more spiritual.
I don't want you to eat meat. I don't want you to eat meat, and I don't want you to take supplements. But that's just my opinion.
I don't need supplements, mate.
Yeah, I don't think that vegans should be taking supplements. I think that they should face the consequences of a plant-based diet,
which is health, fitness, well-being, happiness. It's all the good things in life. You meet it as a depressed, you're fat, you're out of shape, you've gone bald and grey like you know, because obviously you get personal with me, I get personal with you too. And at the end of the day, your health is going to crap. We're thriving. Look at me.
Vegans don't get old and gray because they die as infants.
Yeah, okay. Look at Hench Herbivore. Look at that Paul Hench Herbivore. He's in bodybuilder. He's in much better shape than you, mate.
Oh, he does steroids.
Yeah, to me he
He doesn't.
You know, you should be frank.
he just get out of the hospital with some type of infection?
That was months ago, mate. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
months ago. I mean,
yeah.
Hench, he told me it was nothing to do with the diet.
He had some type
I don't
of had nothing to do with the diet. Let's believe the self-reporting vegan.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing to do. Hench is an honest person. He said it himself that it was just an illness. There's nothing to do with the vegan diet.
It was just an illness.
It was, mate.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately,
Why are you trying to get all in my face? Why are you trying to get all in my face? What do you think that's going to do? You think I'm scared? I used to be in a gang. I'm not scared of you. I'm not just back out.
I think you are scared.
Why would I be?
Scared of me. I think all vegans are scared.
I've stabbed over 5 people. Why would I be scared of you?
I think the real Joey Carbstrong is scared of me. I think that Earthling Ed is scared of me. I know that David Rams is scared of me.
I can't speak for David Rams. I can't speak for Hench Herbivore, but I'll tell you right now, mate, I'm not scared of you. I used to be in a gang. Surely you know it's well documented.
It doesn't matter. I know that you're scared of me. I know that you're afraid.
Why would I be?
That's why
you're scared.
That's why you're here. You are here because you are afraid.
You're scared of the truth. That vegan is the way to go forward in life.
Yeah.
The world is going forward, and it's going vegan.
Go
vegan for the animals.
If you want to cause the most amount of animal death, then go vegan.
No, absolutely not. Nowhere near the amount that is with meat eating. Mate.
If you want to cause the most death and suffering, go vegan.
Listen, mate, I think this needs to.
I've proven that again and again.
I've got better things. You should be thankful.
Your own position on honey proves this.
You've got nothing better to do. You should be thankful.
You said before that honey is not vegan based on the fact that you care about honeybees. However, honeybees are being driven into extinction by the pesticides used on the crops that produce your menu, the vegan menu.
Okay. Look, if you think that you're thriving compared to me or Hench Herbivore, give one statistic there. How do I or Hench Herbivore look worse than you? How are we doing worse than you? We're thriving, like Hench Herbivore says. Where do you get on a vegan?
No, you don't even know how many animals die every year because of your diet.
Yeah, but we're healthier than you will ever be, mate. We're doing better than you. Hench Herbivore looks better than. Yes, he does.
No,
it looks way better than. So do I, mate.
Like I said, vegans.
Yep.
Vegans drop out at what 90% within the first 2 years.
Yeah, but they've done it wrong.
Because of health issues.
Okay, I'm talking over you. Sorry about that.
Because of health issues.
At the end of the day, them 90, I'm not going to deny and say that you're wrong. I mean, some people are not strong enough. They can't take the vegan diet. They're not educated enough, and like me, so they don't know what foods to eat. But I can guarantee you, if they've done it properly with my guidance, I don't do any sort of programs or anything like that. But let's say they wanted me to help them out with their lifestyle, I would still be vegan. I tell you that now.
Okay, Jason, you're ready to continue that conversation we're having.
And I'm sorry for talking over people. I'm known to do this, and I get fired up with fucking passionate because I care so much about the fucking animals. And, I'm sorry.
Joey.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I want just go to Jeffrey Phillips. Can you just share screen before you let Joey go?
Yeah, thanks for letting me on, by the way, Gallon fans. I appreciate that. A lot of meat eaters don't dare let me on because I just embarrass them. Yeah.
Just here. Okay, if you want to know my opinion,
I don't care. No disrespect.
Yeah,
you're a Christian, but you don't care about. You don't believe it. You don't. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I'm talking. You don't.
I muted him.
Say what you got to say, but if you
I muted him. Go ahead.
If you would like to know the question, or you're talking about a Christian, how can you be a Christian but then you're eating meat? I present this. It's about 30 minutes of them talking actually about Garland. And then I'm speaking with a nice gentleman, Nicholas George. Is Christianity against veganism? And I pop on, if you fast forward, maybe 20 minutes into it ish.
Yeah, but you said you believe in Jesus Christ, but you don't believe in redemption.
Listen.
Okay, yes.
If
I'm
you're
talking about, sorry.
interested, the question that you asked specifically about meat eating, if you're a Christian, all I'm saying is if you are interested, probably from 26 up to.
And Gallant Farms, I want an apology because the way you talk to me.
If you want to know my
response, don't have to me personal, I'm not just back out.
Okay.
Yeah, what was that?
So if you would like to know my opinion to the question about Christianity and meat eating,
yeah. And if you disrespect
26 to 36, there's 10 minutes, and there is my PowerPoint presentation. So I've thought deeply about it.
Guess what? If you disrespected an animal to my face, I'm not just.
I thought deeply.
Leave the animals alone. Yeah.
If you're interested, then just feel free to go see it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I've got protests and debates to go to. You should be thankful that I'm wasting my time on your crappy stream, and I think you should start going vegan for the animals. If I've seen any of you disrespecting an animal in my presence, I will not just back out.
No wonder animal doesn't have no justice.
This guy's a great troll. And yes, we know it's not the real Joey.
But is he a troll? You think that's not a vegan and just like pretending to be a vegan, or is he a vegan?
No, he's a vegan, and he's.
Yes, you can say that I'm not Joey all you want. You can say that I'm not Joey all you want. Come down to England and we'll have a debate in person. Come on my channel. I invite you, Garland fans, to come on my channel anytime you want. Send me a personal message and you'll be on my channel and I'll debate you live. I'm not scared of you. I'm not scared of anyone. I'm certainly not scared of anyone that eats meat.
I think the streets of your country are filled with enough problems that are a little more serious maybe than veganism at this point.
Yeah, no, it's very serious. It's very serious. Animals
claim to be Joey Carbstrong, but you sound more like Tyson Fury.
Tyson Fury. I actually like boxing, mate. I used to go to the gym. No, but me and my crew, we used to do boxing actually. But no, I'm not Tyson Fury. I'm Joey Carbstrong, and I don't care whether you believe me. Like I said, Garland fans, leave the animals alone. Honestly, it's going to get serious. You keep making videos about me, saying about my appearance, all that. I'll say a million things about you, but I'm going to change the person. I've redeemed myself through the animals, and I thank the animals.
Lots of money in veganism, promoting veganism, right?
It's a hard job. You can't do it. Let's see you do it, Garland fans. You've never worked a day in your life. How can you say that how can you be sarcastic? Go on. What's your justification for sitting on your ass, not doing anything? I'm out there. I'm trying to make the world, a better place.
Okay. Thank you for coming, Joey. Appreciate your.
Bye, Joey.
And I think you need to make some. I think you need to make some changes.
Thank you, Joey.
And guys, and the offer is there. The offer is there.
Take care, Joey.
I'm passionate about the animals. I care. I've got compassion in my heart.
Hey, Joey.
Compassion for the cute animals.
Joey, don't forget to not take your supplements. Okay.
Or a horrible thing to say.
He is covered with fear.
Yeah. All right. We were talking about. I was trying to explain why I think that intermittent fasting and prolonged fasting, is better than carnivore for weight loss. And the first reason was because if you're eating 3 meals a day, you're basically a meat glutton, for lack of a better word, eating a lot of meat, as much meat as you can get down your throat with each meal, and you're eating multiple meals per day and you're losing weight, you're going to lose weight. But most of that protein is going to be turned into glucose via gluconeogenesis. And that glucose is not going to be entering the bloodstream at a high rate.
No.
Therefore, it keeps the insulin low. And because the insulin is low, your body's able to burn body fat as fuel.
Yeah.
However, there are lots of nutrients, essential nutrients, that are better absorbed into the cells of your body if you have a little bit of carbohydrate in the diet, because it raises the blood sugar enough to get a stronger insulin response. And
how much, in your opinion, Because you had told me that, and it did stick in my head. I think it makes perfect sense. How much? Let's say somebody.
I think this is it's going to vary per person, Jason. I've said that again and
That's
again.
like protein.
So how? Yeah.
Big guy. I completely understand. Just kind of like a guess, because like, let's say like the insulin response, or because the rationale makes complete sense. That it's like, well, if that's the hormone that opens the door that knocks, and you know there's some nutrients that are absorbed differently or better, then yeah, you want to get like you don't want to waste the nutrients, so you want to have a little bit of insulin response. But like, I think like probably 20 grams is a decent amount of carbs in one sitting for a non-athlete, because I'm not talking about athletes. That's not
I think for most people 20 grams is probably too much.
Yeah. Okay.
I would say somewhere around between 5 and 15 for most people. And then if you're more active, or if you're carrying more muscle and you're active, then yeah, you can justify more. But the fact is that if you're cutting back on your protein, because on the Sean Baker style, where you're eating a big steak for breakfast, most of that steak is not going to be going towards that body's protein needs. Most of it's going to be turned into glucose. It's a very, very expensive source of glucose. And also, if you're let's say someone, there's two people, let's say they're twins, and both of them are morbidly obese. Yeah. One of them chooses carnivore, and the other one chooses intermittent fasting and prolonged fasting. And so let's say both of them get down to their ideal body weight. It takes the fasting guy about 6 months to get there. It takes the carnivore guy closer to a year. He gets there eventually, but more slowly. And also because over that time, the other guy has been, the guy that's not doing carnivore, he's doing intermittent fasting and prolonged fasting. But when he does his refeed, and he's eating things like liver and other organ meats, steak sometimes, but also he'll include about 10 grams of boiled white potato. Mm-hmm. And so he'll get a little bit better insulin response from that. And because the insulin response is so isolated, it's not packed between a bunch of other insulin responses. So it's not the same as the insulin response that someone like Bruce was getting when he was overweight. But whenever you have someone who's in a ketogenic state, not because they're eating a bunch of fat, but because they're fasting, and so the body's burning fat, you get into a ketogenic state without eating meat. You do it by fasting. And so this person that's doing it with fasting gets there faster, and he gets there with more nutrition, because he's including a little bit of carbohydrates whenever he eats his refeed meals, and therefore those nutrients are coming in with a little bit higher insulin response, and so he gets better what they call insulin transport. So look up insulin transport. It's not just sugar that's aided by insulin to be transported into the cell, but it's also protein. It's also fats, and it's all the other essential nutrients as well are helped along by insulin to get into the cell. So the other thing is that the person who's practicing intermittent fasting and prolonged fasting is going to get something very important that the carnivore guy is not getting, and that's autophagy. There is something called autophagy deficiency. And I think that most people in developed countries right now are suffering from autophagy deficiency. And people who are autophagy deficient have higher rates of cancer as well, because autophagy has an anti-cancer element to it. And so these are the reasons why I think that probably about a 70% meat-based diet in a intermittent fasting and prolonged fasting is the best, healthiest way for someone to get from a morbidly obese state down to an ideal body composition.
Yeah. My brother, like Bruce, is getting to the point where I'd like to talk to him because I saw his last one. I'm like, okay, you're pretty much, you lost the weight that you needed. Now you can get very much leaner, but he's not being extreme. He's definitely not doing 7-day fast and stuff like that. But I want to talk with him and make sure. Okay, we was like, make sure that you're eating regularly. He seems to be from the last time, but I haven't been doing the Monday streams because once he had did fasting years ago, and he lost all his muscle, like he lost everything, fat and muscle and stuff like that. So,
well, tell me if this is logical or not. You could with the carnivore diet, you could get from a morbidly obese state down to a perfectly healthy body composition, but also be autophagy deficient.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you've been doing carnivore and doing it like the Sean Baker style, where you're eating gargantuan amounts of beef, and you never do, I don't hear him talking about fasting. I don't hear him talking about the benefits of autophagy. I don't hear him talking about the benefits of insulin nutrient transport. Just the more meat that you eat, the better. And
a very specific kind of meat, grain fed. Because the grain fed did a little better, like he likes to say.
They did a little bit better.
Yeah. A little bit better. What I find is, for me, like I just eat to satiety, and like I don't eat that much meat. Like I find like the only way I can get extra protein would be, let's say if I had protein powder liquid, or I wanted to throw 12 eggs and swallow those and stuff like that. But if I just eat when I'm hungry, and I do sometimes measure like how much am I eating. Maybe I should like check it out. But if you like, to me, if you're eating what is appropriate and your hormones aren't all screwed up and you're getting correct signals in relation to hunger and satiety, and you're cutting out, all the processed stuff, and you're sticking to pretty much, meat, fish, dairy, plants, vegetables and fruits, if you want, I think that that's pretty kind of reasonable. The only time I push for carnivore, not push, the only time I would kind of say like maybe it's worth it is people with diseases, or people with modern ailments, people are on something, they have pills because the doctor doesn't know why you have that. It's like, yeah, maybe you do the fasting, get that autophagy, because that's really, what's going to heal, and then just try and remove, not as something that is sustainable, but remove all these things to see if your autoimmune disease improves, if this improves, and then after, you're getting, better, and then after you can reincorporate stuff like that. Because I have carnivore videos. I've never done more than 4 weeks carnivore, and my carnivore has always been animal food. Because like I think a lot, like some people when they say carnivore, are they just meaning like meat? Because a lot of people, it's like, to them it's like, oh, it's an all meat diet. I'm like, no, to me, if I'm eating fish, fish, meat, chicken, a wide variety, and it comes from an animal, to me that's a carnivore diet. But no, I think everything that you've mentioned, stuff like that, I think are really good points, and very, very, very reasonable. Good suggestions. Dr. Ken Berry got over a views buying a stack of McDonald's patties or something. Oh yeah, you were talking about that. That he talks about going to get like fast food hamburger patties or something when you're.
Who's this, Barry?
Yeah, Ken Berry.
Yeah. It was weird because he had this. It was like a short or something, and he was waiting in line for the drive-through at McDonald's. He said, "I'm going to get a stack of beef patties. We'll see." And so he films the whole thing, but he doesn't film the part where she tells him how much they cost. But he cuts to him just pulling the beef out of the bag and telling us how much it costs. And then I called my local McDonald's and asked them how much it would cost for that same amount of beef. And it was more than twice as much as he was being charged. So I don't know if he made it up or whether or not he might be on contract with McDonald's. He might be on contract with the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, which is partly controlled by McDonald's. But there's been lots of big time carnivore influencers that promote McDonald's as a valid source of beef in the diet. But then every time they talk about grass-fed beef by your local cattleman, they always throw in this idea that it's too expensive. I mean, you can if you want to make that sacrifice, that financial sacrifice, and you feel like it's morally imperative that you eat grass-fed beef for some reason, then go ahead and spend that extra money on the grass-fed beef. But then I've got a video where I do the math on one of these influencers promoting McDonald's and the prices that they reported. I actually went to my local McDonald's, picked up the same amount of patty, weighed them out, did the math, and found out that it was more than twice as expensive for a McDonald's beef than your local grass-fed beef that Sean is always saying is too expensive for people. So why is local grass-fed beef cost prohibitive, but McDonald's beef is not cost prohibitive? It doesn't make any sense unless these influencers have been hired by the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, which is it's been. I don't know if you know anything about regulatory capture. Have you heard of that? Regulatory capture is kind of like when the pharmaceutical industry has a stranglehold of control over the FDA and how it operates. That's regulatory capture is when the industry that's supposed to be regulated and watchdogged over by a government agency the government agency is captured by that industry and now is controlled by that industry. So that happened. National Cattlemen's Beef Association is not a government industry, but they do receive taxpayer monies, and they use that money to promote grain-fed beef and promote foreign beef. In fact, it was the National Cattlemen's Beef Association here in the United States that lobbied to have accurate and honest country of origin labeling on beef sold here in the U.S. And so most beef that's sold here in the U.S. that's labeled made in or a product of the USA actually is from Canada, Brazil, Uruguay, and Australia. And so and the beef that they do take from American cattlemen, they're constantly undercutting them. They've got a monopoly on the process, and so all the cattlemen are at their mercy. And so we've tried, the real cattlemen have sued. We've tried to have legislation to take that tax money away from the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. But I have read the National Cattlemen's Beef Association's publications, and yes, they have hired doctors to promote the carnivore diet, but I can't give you those names because I don't know for sure who they are, but I have my suspicions. And those are the ones out there that are always telling people that grass-fed beef from your local producer, your local cattleman, is cost prohibitive, and that you should just buy the regular grain-fed beef. The regular grain-fed beef because there's no studies that show that grain-fed beef is not healthier than grass-fed beef. However, for instance, what I've got on the screen right now, the omega-6 to 3 ratio for grass-fed beef is 2 to 1, while the ratio for grain-fed beef is 9 to 1. So how does that happen? And why is it important? It's important because omega-6s are inflammatory. And when you get beyond a 4 to 1 ratio, you start getting into the types of inflammation that's associated with all of the diseases of civilization. And so where are these excess omegas coming from? They're coming from the corn and other grain byproducts that are fed to those cattle during the last 3 months of their life, during the finishing phase. And so those seed oils are coming from the corn and being deposited into the tissues of the cow. And so a grain-fed beef is actually a hidden source of seed oils, but people don't know this. And yes, there's no studies that have studied that specifically, but we do have studies to show that a 9 to 1 omega-6 to 3 ratio would be in the dangerous spectrum. And so
I think by their standards, they were like, I think the worst the ratio should be, and where are they getting that opinion is 4 to 1, which is still crazy, but yeah, 20
4 to 1 is not bad.
Yeah,
No, 4 to 1 is within a 1 to 1 to a 4 to 1 has been scientifically determined to be the ideal omega-6 to 3 ratio for human physiology. Yeah. But as soon as you go to 5 to 1, will 5 to 1 kill you today? No. Might it have some effect over 20 years? Yeah, it could. What about a 9 to 1 ratio? So, the reason that these that it's climbed so high so fast is because corn, for instance, corn oil has a 49 to 1 ratio. 49 omega-6s for every 1 anti-inflammatory omega-3. So corn has got to be, if you really look at it, corn has got to be one of the major contributors to all of these diseases, cardiovascular disease, all the arteriosclerosis. And it would have made sense because all of these seed oils have replaced animal fats in the diet. And if you look at the graph of how those seed oils have entered the diet and how saturated animal fat has left the diet, then it's like it's a cross. As the animal fats went down, disease went up. As seed oils went up, disease went up.
Yeah.
And so, so I think the ideal diet for human health is one that includes fasting and probably the 1 meal per day
that's what
type of diet with maybe 10 to 20% plant foods coming from the cleanest sources of starches that you could find or produce, cook, etc. And including that very important autophagy stimulating fasting. And basically, before the carnivore diet started, what the carnivore diet replaced was the paleo movement. The paleo movement was preaching what I tell people what I think is ideal. I think the paleo diet is ideal. I do not think the carnivore diet is ideal. And I do think that it's actually a facet of the disinformation that's coming from these influencers that were hired by the National Cattlemen's Beef Association.
the paleo diet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, they perverted the paleo diet as well because they started making all of these paleo bars and they turned it into an ultra processed food factory. And that's not that's not what paleo is. Paleo is like nose to tail, where you're eating the muscle meat and the liver and the lungs and the heart and everything that you can eat, you eat it.
Yeah.
And also the paleo community was making an effort to support their local fed operations. They were making an effort to, support all of the regenerative operations out there. And then all of a sudden, there were some doctors that showed up in the carnivore community, and they started telling people, nah, you don't have to eat grass-fed. Nah, you don't have to eat any plants. You need to eat all meat, no organ meats. Don't eat liver because it's yucky, they say. These are people that perfectly fit what a NC, a National Cattlemen's Beef Association influencer would say or would be preaching. And it's
I was guilty of that too. Until you mentioned it, and it's like, yeah, it's like I wanted to eat liver, not raised on liver, acquired taste, didn't like it, and did a video of it. It's gross. And then you kind of mentioned it after, and I was like, yeah, well, obviously I didn't think of it that way, and I was just starting. But it's like you're propagating that idea that organ meats, which is like literally the more prized part of the animal, and you're spitting in the garbage saying it tastes like crap, and then other people will see that video and might not even ever try and taste it, or and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely the West and stuff like that, we're so disconnected from food, and one of the aspects for sure is like 100% organ meats and stuff like that.
Well, so, these carnivore influencers that are working for, basically, ultimately, they're working for the World Economic Forum.
Yeah.
They'll speak out against seed oils, but they want to explain to you that the reason why grain-fed beef has a higher omega-6 content, is because of a hidden source of seed oil in many carnivores. Many people's diets who label themselves as carnivores are getting these seed oils through the beef that they're eating. The beef that they're eating is coming from the supermarket, and it's serving as kind of a Trojan horse for these inflammatory omega-6s. And so that's not really, I don't see that as ideal at all. Health-wise, grass-fed beef also has much higher levels of things like CLA and other compounds that are known to be very healthy for humans.
Yeah.
And then also the fact that the grain-fed beef at the supermarket is produced by feeding these byproducts that come from the factory crop agriculture that is pushing veganism. And so there's a buy-in to veganism when you're eating supermarket grain-fed beef. There's a benefit there for veganism. And all of those companies that provide the majority of those corporations that provide the meat to the supermarkets for people to purchase have signed on as corporate strategic partners of the World Economic Forum, and they've signed on with the anti-meat agenda. And if you look, all of these meat companies are transitioning into protein companies because they anticipate that in the future they're going to be making more money from plant protein than they are from meats, because they plan on taking the meat out of the diet, because the vast majority of people in the developed world do not produce their own meat. That meat has to be supplied to them by someone, and those someones are plotting corporately to transition into a plant-based protein vendor. And so by purchasing and putting your money towards grain-fed supermarket beef, you're actually financing the monster that's pushing veganism.
Okay, so I was just kind of writing stuff down here. So do you agree that you should just continue the course with crop death? Just keep on beating keep on beating that horse kind of thing.
That
Um,
crop death is the Achilles heel of veganism.
but the problem is great. Okay, it is the Achilles heel. You can see because of the panicked reaction that they have. But now you're just one person. So what the next thing is the message is there, perfect, for the crop death. We need every single person that is a content creator that believes now in that after talking with you, or show them a couple of videos of stuff that you present, and all of these anti-vegan channels and stuff like that have to do their part. Unfortunately, you're just like one person in the wilderness, make straight the path, kind of thing. We just need to slowly get one or person at a time to be willing to do content with us and do these types of discussion. And it's just a question of crop deaths, your argument being spouted from multiple pulpits, kind of thing. It's exactly what is successful with the vegan community. How much would you, because obviously you watch, how many vegan influencers, like legit, not like just little ones, but how many are the core real influencers, like the top YouTube influencers in vegan? Is there like 20 or something? Even less?
Yeah,
It's less, right?
yeah. I mean, as far as like the real big ones, yeah. What is it, like
okay,
10?
Okay, 10. So now we have to find 10 people, okay, that are willing to start producing content and collaborating and putting out all of this into the algorithm. You're pissing them off just as one person, scaring them. So keep up with the crop death. But now phase 2 is we have the message. The message is effective. Now we just have to increase the amount of mouths saying it. So now we're at 2. I'm 1. You're 1. Darth, you're in agreement? Yes?
Yeah, he's in agreement.
Okay, so now I have friends, you have friends, and just from my talking to my group, we just have to start producing the content. We have to start producing content, tagging the bigger influencers. That's the one message is the crop death, and tied, I think, to the crop death is the constantly saying suffering is equal to intensity multiplied by duration. Just repeat it over and over. I've had vegans that have admitted, I said, I'm not complete in my mission yet, but I have the chickens. Okay. And next year I will be consistent with buying the grass-fed ruminants freezer. And I am going to prove a point that I can survive on the pig and the cow and the eggs and probably cheese. I'm not going to give up cheese. And that this per household creates like 2 or 3 deaths for a whole household for over 1 year. And that death is low intensity because you've gone to the local farmer. If you want to make content, film yourself with the cow, film the slaughter. I don't know if you're allowed, film how the animals slaughter. And this is the next step. I would have just a Facebook group that's not like for spamming and stuff. It's really just whether it's Facebook or Discord. I don't have Discord, but something where people, if you're on board, we can text very quickly. Hey man, you want to do a live stream with me? Boom, we can all start popping on. So we do need a messenger app outside of this, so that we can build that community, so we can quickly say, hey, I'm going on air, you want to join? We need panels. And this will produce a huge barrage, just a flood of what JD said. So if one farmer, one dumb farmer, bada bing, scared the crap out of these vegans. Well, you know what? What about like a larger group? And I think that this is the only way forward. This is the only way of, because right now it feels like we're in a spin cycle where we're repeating over and over the same thing, but the message is just getting to the same people. The same people are in agreement. They're showing up to your live streams, to mine. We're not getting subscriber that is increasing much, and yeah, go from there. And we're going to have to challenge them more to debates, always keeping in mind that we could care less what they think, but that we are using YouTube to influence people. It's always about the viewers, you know. I really think this is what we should do, like not just talk about it. Or else the amount of effort, you know, that you're putting it in to repeat, and it's not getting out there. So we need more people.
Well, you say that it's not getting out there, but
Well,
15 minutes ago you explained how I single-handedly have caused the vegans to redefine veganism. So,
yes, but it went when you went on the Crucible. That's what I'm saying. The minute you went on just the Crucible, which isn't a huge channel, you had you were able to network. You got on his channel, and
there was an effect. I was affecting the vegan message
before
from
well,
because they
I
were
thought it was,
because they made big videos about crop deaths, trying to dispute that they were high in number at all. They started by just saying, well, yeah, there are crop deaths, but it's just those animals that are asleep or don't hear the machinery coming, but that machinery is big and loud, and most of those animals hear it and they move out of the way. And I debunked that, and they came back and they said, well, yeah, it's that also there's some insects that die because of pesticides. And then I debunked that, and they came back and they said, well, okay, it's animals that are run over, animals that are insects killed by pesticides, but also birds that are killed by pesticides. But it's not a big deal. And so I debunked that, and they came back and said, okay, well, yeah, it's some of the animals are run over by the harvesters. Some of them are insects killed by pesticides. Birds are killed by pesticides. And as Garland pointed out, so are amphibians. So lots of amphibians are going extinct because of the pesticides that are used on our crops that produce the vegan menu. So no, I mean, I understand. Yes, we need to get this message out to a larger audience. We know that there's a larger audience because we see that audience over there at Sean Baker's channel. And if those people would wake up, or if Sean Baker would pick up the baton and say, hey, because I've seen him do it with other issues, telling people that where you put your money is where you're putting the power. And so if you're putting the money towards grain-fed supermarket beef, and I can show you and I can prove to you that the supermarket beef, the companies that are providing that beef are actually working against the meat industry because they've signed on with the WEF, and their agenda is anti-meat. Why? Because they want to go bankrupt? No, because they want to transition from a meat industry to a protein industry. They've already got the other lily pad there ready for them to land on it. And that lily pad is vegan protein. That's where all the meat companies are looking to move. And so when you have an influencer that's pushing this, just buy your grain-fed beef at the supermarket. It's just as good as any grass-fed beef that you could buy locally, and it's cheaper. Don't forget, buy some of your beef at McDonald's. It's more expensive than the grass-fed beef that they said was too expensive, right? So there's shenanigans going on here, and it's coming from these celebrity influencers. They're people that do not understand that celebrity influencers are there. Some of these people that are known worldwide on a large scale, they're in the pocket. There
was a big fight on. I remember Joey was there. The other one that talks like a surfer, I forget his name. Anyways, there was this big thing about like an anonymous donor, and it was like it was all on. you know, this fight between two pretty big vegan influencers, and then after it was like, yeah, so like it's definitely not a secret. But am I wrong to say, like, it's true? Because I remember the one about crop deaths. You know, it's like the harvester with the face of what, logical vegan, or which one is it? I know you've done a lot of crop death, but am I wrong to say that after going on the Crucible, they scattered more? It became even more of a scuttle to come back, or I'm completely wrong? Because I got the impression after the Crucible, you leveled them so much, and they were so mad at Jeffrey. They felt like the vegans were really mad at him, like as if like, you made us look stupid. And then he was talking to all these, you know, vegans from England kind of accent. And then the next I hear this negative rights violation or something like that. So
Yeah.
So they definitely scurried. So that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying,
You're saying that was the pivot point for them for that issue.
All I'm saying is, like you said, when I'm saying you got to get, you know, on networking and bigger and stuff like that, what I'm saying is, yeah, like the crop deaths, you've been talking about it, you've been doing videos, they were, but I find that they panicked because it was an amazing that debate there. Like you could tell, like the guy that is Andrew, right? The Crucible, like even him, like you could tell everybody was.
Well, the Crucible took that down.
Took what down?
They took that debate down.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Okay, I was a bit skeptical about your claim that no, he's probably friends, but yeah, that's okay. I believe you now. Are you serious?
Yes. Go look it up. Go try to find that debate, and you will find it.
Well, that's cowardly. That's freaking stupid. Did you record that one?
No. The reason I found out that it was gone is because I went over there to download it so that I could take clips out and make shorts, but it's not there.
And Jeffrey deleted it on his, I'm sure, too, obviously.
I don't know. Did he ever post the whole thing?
I don't know. It wouldn't have been to his benefit if he had.
Yeah, I don't think he posted the whole thing. I think he just posted. He just edited it to make me look bad. He tried to anyway.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, some people say that it was taken down for other reasons, but you know there are other videos that are still up. So why can't they put it back up if it was taken down for other reasons? You know, what were those reasons that mine was taken down? So, yeah.
AV says it's on Rumble. I don't know if they're talking about something else, though. I just saw the last one. No, it says the Crucible has other issues. It wasn't a Garland Farms thing, blah, blah, blah. But then AV says it's on Rumble. So maybe if you go on Rumble to the Crucible on Rumble, maybe you'd be able to record it or something.
Yeah.
Because that's tragic, man. That was a slaughter. That was a ruthless, unethical slaughter of a vegan right there. I mean, it was painful to watch. So, all right, it is what it is.
Oh yeah, here it is. I found it.
Oh, I would find a way.
I found it on Rumble. Yeah,
man, I would call out Crucible. I would do a video. I would be playing that, asking Andrew, could you explain to me why? Have you tried to contact him? Obviously you had communications with him prior.
No, I don't want to, and even now I'm not accusing him. I'm just saying that the circumstantial evidence and the fact that on air while that second debate when Vegan Gains came on, and I said, to Vegan Gains, I said, you and I will debate in the future. And he shook his head yes. And Andrew was there shaking his head yes. So I was expecting someone to get in touch with me. But then I kept an eye on it. And then I looked up and Andrew was debating Vegan Gains on veganism. I thought that was kind of strange. And then I found out that my video had been taken down. And so, you know, I don't know exactly what happened there, but I don't think that
Looks suspect.
it doesn't. Yeah, it does. It doesn't look. Now, if he wanted to reach out to me, if Andrew wanted to say, "Hey, man, we had you on a long time ago. I know I told you that," or I can't say that he promised me, but all indications were that I was supposed to debate him. But I wasn't the person that brought this up, but someone said something about the Crucible actually behind the scenes not being a Garland Farms fan, and I didn't think anything of that until I saw that they had taken down my video, and I just don't think that I don't think that my arguments are the arguments that they want to hear against veganism. When I watch Andrew debate veganism, what I hear is his side is just basically, that's right. I don't care about animals.
Yeah.
Period. There's no, you can't win this debate with me because I do not value animals' lives. And then they say, well, what about your dog? You have a dog? You have a dog. Well, would you eat your dog? No, I wouldn't eat my dog because I have an emotional attachment to him. He's an extension of me. He's my property. Just like I wouldn't want you taking a baseball bat to my Corvette. I don't want you killing my dog either. And so it's not, Andrew is not someone that would ever point out the fact that there are exponentially more crop deaths associated with the crop production that produces the items on the vegan menu than are killed in all of animal agriculture across the world every year. And so he will never make that argument. And I really don't think that whatever power structure is responsible for that channel wants that perspective promoted there either. You don't hear Sean Baker talking about that. You don't hear Dr. Berry talking about that. It's the Achilles heel of veganism. And there are very few, in fact, there are no of the top tier size-wise carnivore influencers that are anti-vegan that will point out the fact that the crop deaths outnumber the animal deaths for animal agriculture every year. And so if we let the vegans have that narrative, we will lose this. We will lose this if we don't point out, if we try to, like someone else said, veganism is just, first of all, it's a corporate invention. It's nefarious, it's malicious, and it's a stool with 3 legs. It's a false claim about animal benefit, animal welfare. That's one leg. The other leg is health. They claim that it's a healthier diet. And then the third leg to that stool is it's supposed to be better environmentally. And so with that trifecta, they think that they can win. But that one leg I'm the only anti-vegan influencer out there, and I'm not really an influencer. I'm just a farmer who's concerned about the future of the world and the future that we're going to leave our children. I'm the only one there have been other farmers that have spent a dash of time making great videos about this issue and showed the math. But those farmers, they made that one video and they moved on, and they don't focus on this anymore. But this is the Achilles heel of veganism. Is the health issue also an Achilles heel? Yes, it is, because the fact that most vegans quit because of health issues, and the fact that these children, these infants are dying in the arms, in the hands of the care of vegans that are, offering their infants oat milk or different types of plant milks rather than than real milk, because real cow's milk can serve as a very healthy supplement, a very healthy alternative to human milk. In fact, for years, that's before formula came along, there were women that couldn't produce enough milk for their babies, and they would supplement that with cow's milk. If you try that with an infant, you try that with any kind of plant-based milk, and it's not milk to begin with, because milk comes from mammary glands.
Yeah.
The child's going to become very, very malnourished and lose weight, become sick, possibly die. And so veganism is like I say, it's a corporate movement. The people that are following it, the little pleb class followers, they're culprits, but they're also victims, because they've been conditioned through pop culture for years and years. Walt Disney is a Seventh-day Adventist organization, and it's constantly anthropomorphizing animals and making us have empathy for animals, but not for humans. In fact, go back and watch Bambi. The evil villain in that movie is a hunter.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like Lion King. The lion that wanted to eat the animals was the evil one, and the Lion King was eating bugs. I think they were preparing us to eat bugs and stuff like that. He was a lion that ate bugs, and
Really, I don't remember that.
I think so. I remember seeing something like what is the name? Simba or something, whatever. But yeah, if you notice, he's eating. I'm pretty sure bugs, if I'm not mistaken. But the evil uncle that wants to eat the animals, he's evil.
Okay, so here's an article talking about how the meat companies are transitioning into protein companies. They want to supply us with, they want to reduce the amount of meat that they're supplying, perhaps even cut the meat off, and instead supply us with meat-free alternatives or cell-based meat. And so that's all the companies, like when someone like Sean Baker says, don't bother with that expensive grass-fed beef that your local producers are making. It's cheaper just to go to the supermarket and buy that cheap grain-fed beef. That grain-fed beef is being sold by these companies that are in transition. They're transitioning towards veganism, and they're not being forthright and honest with you about it. There are articles about it, yes, but it's not out there. That message is not being, that truth is not being told out there in pop culture. And so people, they think, well, you're not gonna make me eat plants. Well, guess what? If you're one of these people that relies upon the supermarket for your meat, then you could be forced to eat plants only, because you're not self-sufficient. You can't you can't produce your own meat, not unless you're going to become a cannibal. Are you going to be able to procure meat in the future if we're not careful?
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to show you, in light of the fact that these meat companies are changing to protein companies,
Mm-hmm.
and that I was reminded of that the other day when I was watching this video with Earthling Ed. Let me see if I've got it in the right spot.
Burger meat, which costs around $5 today, would actually cost about $30 without government subsidy.
Eat 6 to 11 servings of grains and carbohydrates a day. Agencies applied their tender
Protect is only able to exist like it does because of the scary government actually helping it. Ironically, if the government didn't involve itself in our food system, well, we'd be eating a lot more plants and fewer animals.
Remember what?
Okay. Can you hear this all right, Jason?
Yeah.
Okay, now watch the Jordan Peterson speaks a lot of truth, but I have believed for a long time that he's a Pied Piper. His job is to tell the truth in most cases, but he's deceptive in some important keystone areas, and this is one of them, because I think that, to me, it looks like Jordan Peterson and Earthling Ed are kind of working together on this because of the way that this subject is being framed. Because the way that you frame a discussion can have a huge influence on how the discussion carries itself out. And the way that this is being framed by Jordan plays into the hands of those corporate powers that are pushing veganism. Let me show you why.
Yeah.
What happened the last time that government agencies applied their tender mercy to determining what the people they serve should consume? We were offered the much vaunted food pyramid, telling us to eat 6 to 11 servings of grains and carbohydrates a day, with protein and fat at the pinnacle.
Okay, did you hear what he just said? He said with protein and fat at the pinnacle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
Protein.
the pinnacle is the
No.
least.
Now, here's the little magic trick that you didn't catch.
Okay.
He didn't use the word. You never heard him use the word meat. Okay, listen to what he says again.
Servings of
Remember, these meat companies are in the process right now of transitioning into protein companies.
Yeah. Yeah.
So people have a hard time in their mind distinguishing between meat and protein, because when you say protein, meat is protein.
Yeah,
but
they just think protein. Yeah.
protein isn't necessarily meat.
No.
So listen.
grains and carbohydrates a day, with protein and fat at the pinnacle.
Okay, so he says
Okay.
protein. He says protein and fat was at the pinnacle, but let's go look at that pyramid that he's talking about. And what we have at the top here is fats, oils, and sweets,
Mhm.
right? So protein is not at the pinnacle.
Mhm.
Protein is over here below the pinnacle, and it's not listed as protein. It's listed as meat, poultry, fish, dry beans, eggs, and nuts group. But it doesn't say anywhere there protein, right? All of those things contain protein, but they're named meat, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's go back to what he says.
Something to be indulged in with comparative rarity.
So first of all, he discredited himself to some degree regarding this subject, because he claimed that fat and protein was at the pinnacle of the food pyramid, and it wasn't, and it's not. It's up near the top, but it's not at the pinnacle. That's not the right word to use. And now he's said something that can be demonstrated as false. That plays into the powers that are pushing veganism, because regarding this subject, Jordan can be debunked on that point.
If indeed necessary at all. That all turned out to be wrong, and not just a little wrong, but so wrong that it might as well have been not just wrong, but a veritable anti-truth, something as wrong as it could possibly get.
Now, all of this that he's saying is true,
Mm-hmm.
but the problem is that he used that word protein instead of meat.
Yeah, you didn't hear
And
anything.
that is what these meat companies want the discussion to be about, protein, because they're transitioning towards a plant protein vendor existence as a corporation.
Mhm.
So they want the discussion framed in a manner that replaces the word meat with the word protein. And watch what Earthling Ed does with this.
The food pyramid was brought into being not least by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. That is, by marketers, not scientists or nutritionists. With no shortage whatsoever of lobby efforts by those whose products ended up being promoted.
First off, there hasn't been a food pyramid in over a decade. It was replaced by something called My Plate in the US in 2011. And
Okay, so now
Yeah.
he's
Go.
bragging. Earthling Ed is promoting this right here.
clearly shows that grains and
Even though it's got dairy, he's saying that this is an improvement. But look, now they've replaced the meat with protein.
Yeah.
So this is, and from the way that I understand Machiavellian marketing, is that Jordan Peterson purposefully did not use the word meat and used the word protein, because we're all being conditioned to think that protein is protein is protein. Yeah. And therefore soybean protein is just as viable for human health as beef, and therefore we don't need to distinguish meat or animal derived proteins from plant derived proteins, because again, protein is a protein is a protein. So this is how these influencers work in concert with the vegan influencers to frame the argument so that the vegans win. And I see that with this issue right now that Jordan Peterson's talking about. I see this also with like the Andrew-esque defense of anti-veganism, where it's just a belligerent, I don't care about animals defense. You know, that might seem like a cool way to argue with a vegan. I don't care about animals. But the smart way to argue with a vegan is point out the fact that the crop deaths associated with the factory crop farming that produces the items on the vegan menu kills exponentially more animals and causes exponentially more suffering than does all of animal agriculture across the world every year. Mm-hmm. So if you run into someone whose main argument is against veganism, that I don't care about animals, well, that you've got someone there that's either really stupid or is in the back pocket of some entity that's paying them to be a prominent vegan influencer with a very loud but impotent argument.
Mm. Yeah, Darla says good catch, and Jane's Journey says good observation. Here's let me present the screen first. Did you have something else? Were you going to continue it?
No, I think I've made my point.
You got the point. Yeah, you got the point. I'm just going to share. It should be popping up now.
Okay, I've got about 10 more minutes.
Well, I was about to say that. Well, my bladder was telling me that. I was like, good, about 10 minutes. So, is it because of your bladder also? Don't tell me. All right. So, strategies to reduce meat consumption.
It's my seminal vesicles.
That's right. A systematic literature review of experimental studies. So these are strategies, and literally there's enough experimental studies on them trying to develop strategies to reduce meat consumption. There's a lot of these kind of studies, these social engineering sciences and stuff like that. So the idea, go Google Scholar and look for strategies to reduce carbohydrate or to reduce grain consumption in men or something. You ain't gonna find any of that anywhere, and stuff like that. So there's definitely an agenda, just one that came to mind. This study when you were showing kind of how they play funny games and stuff like that.
Yeah, I want to address this statement right here. I've lived in Texas for most of my life, and I have watched it become a more arid climate.
Okay.
We're getting less rain, and I don't think that it can accurately be demonstrated that there's no climate change going on.
Yeah.
The question is what kind of climate change is it, and what's causing it? Well, if you look, it's called desertification. This is a process where an area gets less and less and less rain over time, and that usually happens around agrarian. Same thing happened with the Egyptians. They were an agricultural society, and they were getting some amount of rain back in ancient Egypt times. But I'm sure that they had, besides the fact that the desert was creeping upon them anyway, but
Right.
they practice all of this crop agriculture. Crop agriculture causes desertification. So we've got about 500 million acres of cropland here in the United States. That's you till the land, it destroys all the vegetation. Now it's just bare dirt. Now the sun is beating down on the bare dirt, and that bare dirt causes convection currents. If you don't know what a convection current is, look it up. It's what happens.
Yeah.
Hot wind flying away from hot surfaces. It's just like if you
Is that the term in the States? At one point, there was a place, Dust Bowl. Was that where everything just turned into like dust? It's like sand.
Yeah.
Pretty much
The Dust Bowl.
Yeah.
People have died in those dust storms, and it's caused because the large scale crop agriculture leaves millions of acres with no covering at all on the soil. So when it rains or when the wind blows, it's just the soil just gets blown away, washed away. And that's why the Mississippi River is constantly being dredged, because the soil from all the corn and soybean fields along the Mississippi River are eroding into the Mississippi River and filling it up. So if we didn't dredge the river, then the whole river would fill with sediment, and the river itself would have to relocate itself. It would follow the path of least resistance, and they'd have probably that river would start running through towns and cities, and so they have to continually dredge out this farmland, this cropland soil, because this constant tillage. And so we're losing topsoil at a rate that's been calculated. I think that it's like 55 or 60 years left. So, even at today's consumption of plant foods, much less if we were in a vegan world, the topsoil is being eroded away, so that, we would eventually we'd have a global famine event anyway. Just because if for no other vegan reason, for the fact that the soil is being degraded and washed away into the oceans.
It's just it seems like we haven't been off track for thousands of years here. Like we really are we haven't veered off. Like it seems like such a simple solution. Just like it's like, oh, like put them back in the fields. It's like there's the free food. Use the rainwater. Obviously, there is some input to be had massively. It's like it really doesn't seem like Elon wants to go to Mars. Okay, okay, so why don't we just put the cows back in the field first, and then we can go take off? It's not like it's beyond human capacity to just say the ecological cycle, that we learned in elementary school. Yeah, maybe we should go back to that way, and it's cheaper. Well, it's cheaper, but you can't make money as much, and so it's not a difficult thing, and vegans are willing to create this weird plastic future where everything's synthetic, and that doesn't even make sense because that's not reusable. Like they don't understand that ruminant animals create actual nutrients that didn't exist prior to being there. It's like, you know, it's just frustrating. It doesn't seem like it's a far it's not an impossible endeavor, and it's going to take, you know, this globalization and centralization. So people just have to return to their own little bubble communities where everything was, you know, local and stuff like that, and people hopefully will just start combining and deciding to create these places where they can live, you know, almost like Amish people, minus the religious aspect. It just becomes, you know, self-sufficient, and, you know, as long as you have the ruminant animals and you're cycling it through and you're building the soil, that's all you really need. You know, it's really sad, and it's really frustrating, and it's not hard to understand. And these vegans are very, very dishonest, you know, and everybody else, the majority of people listening that are not vegan, it's like it's as plain as day. But
I want to plug Anti-War Mindsets channel. This guy is he has brought me some research that I never did find regarding crop deaths and the association of a growing pesticide industry associated with growing veganism. He's helped me a lot with and every one of his videos, he's got, you know, he's got a different presentation, but the research is top notch, and I'm going to be having him on. He's in Germany. There's a huge time difference between the two of us, so I'm probably going to have to start a live stream like at 8 a.m. But we're going to go through his videos, and if you want to join us, yeah.
So just scroll. I want to see. He has some pretty decent views. He only has 142 subscribers.
Yeah, let me see if
Look at the 3K 2.6. Yeah, he'd be a great person to kind of jump on our boat there that we're trying to float down the river to debunk veganism. Hey, he has a good amount of views. I'm jealous. Good for him. Yeah, let's get him on, and I'll go check out Anti-War Mindset. Cool. I'm just going to screenshot that actually. All right, man. You want to end it here, JD?
Yeah, let's wrap it up. Thanks for coming on, Jason.
Yep.
Thanks for coming on, Darth.
No problem.
Yeah, see you, buddy.
Us.
Feel free to jump on my channel too, man.
Hopefully we'll
Yeah.
get another one soon.
Yep.
Thank you everyone for showing up. We'll see you again next time. Love you all.